Informatio here. Welcome to another new album review. And today we are looking at the new album from the legendary band Chicago. And their 26th album, released on the 15th of July. And it is called Born for This Moment. Playing on this album, there's quite a lot of people. We've got Robert Lamb on keyboards and vocals, Neil Donnell vocals and acoustic guitar, Wilfredo Reyes Jr. on drums, Ray Yalis on percussion, Ray Herriman on woodwind and backing vocals, Lee Langhane on trumpet, James Pankow, the only person that's left from the original album debut, which was of course Chicago Transit Authority, Tony Abrota lead guitar and backing vocals, Lauren Gold keyboards and vocals, and Eric Baines bass and backing vocals. So what's on this album? Okay, the first track is the title track, Born for This Moment. Yeah, this starts well. It's got a nice bass line and a nice little riff, and then the brass comes in. And in all honesty, this is probably the best track on the album. It's a really good track. Really like this one. And then the second track, If This Is the Goodbye. This lacks something, and it's called a guitar. There's just not enough guitar in this. It's just brass. It's just very drony. I just couldn't get into this track at all. It doesn't really inspire me at all. It's got a nice tune, don't get me wrong, but it just, this is quite boring. It's a horrible thing to say about Chicago, but the track is quite boring. Then we get Firecracker. This one isn't too bad. It's a little bit more upbeat, but it's a long way from the original Chicago. It's as far away from rock brassy, that sound they had on that Transit album, Authority album. It's okay, I can cope with that one. Then we get Someone Needed Me the Most. There's some nice guitar work in this one actually. Got a good bass line, but it sounds more like a theme from a 1980s American soap opera. It's a bit cheesy. Again, I'm not very keen on it. Then we get New York Time. This starts really promising with some nice acoustic guitar work. Really good, and then it just fizzled out with lots of brass and horns. I mean, we know that Chicago have always had lots of brass and horns on their songs, and I love it, but this is just too much. There's not enough of any other instrument. It's okay, but I wouldn't say it really rings my bell. Safer Harbours. This is quite a good track. It's just hark back to the classic days. It's got a little bit more life, a little bit more beat. I like this one. Really strong track. Crazy Idea. I don't know how this is crazy. You've got a mixture of brass and traditional Indian Asian music, drums from the subcontinent. It just doesn't work. It's neither Bollywood or brass instrumental. It just doesn't work. I've listened to it about 4 times and I can't. The 4th time I just flicked it on. I just couldn't get into it. Make a Man Out of Me. This one sounds something like a 70s cop show. From America. There's no oomph to it. It really is just over too much brass, not enough guitar, just too much brass. Then we get She's Right. This is a brassy, funky stuff, which I don't really associate with Chicago. Okay, this has got them lovely harmonies that we associate with Chicago. I've got no problem with that, but I just don't like this sound they've got now. Unfortunately, it really upsets me a little bit. Then we get the Mermaid, which is Sereia Do Mar. Don't mind this one, it's got a real Latino feel, and this is where the trumpets and the swing actually work. So it's not too bad, that track. I'm okay with that one. Then we've got a track called You've Got to Believe In. I don't like this. This sounds like Billy Ocean, disco, when the going gets tough. It's just something I'm not into at all. For the Love. Oh, this is so dreary. It needs a kick up the jacksie, to be quite honestly. It's just going nowhere. It's just a load of dirge. And then we get If This Isn't Love. It's more dreary stuff. It just goes round and round in the same sound. Nothing to give you. Oh, that's nice. Then The House on the Hill. The only good thing about this is the beginning and the acoustic guitar at the beginning, and the rest of the track is just unmemorable. And it's the last track on the album. Okay, I was so looking forward to this album. It's a little while since we've had a Chicago album, but unfortunately I found this album to be a total dirge. After I listened to this, I had to go and listen to some classic Chicago stuff, just to see if it's just me. And it isn't. I put on the obviously I put the first album on the Chicago Transit Authority, and thought, wow, this is more like it. And I went for the one from about 76, and yeah, but I have noticed that as the time goes on, they seem to go back. I mean, I put on Chicago 10, which is a great album. It's got some great drums on that. But this lacks a lot of guitar. It's got the harmonies, but it's just too much emphasis on brass and horns. I know you can't like all albums, but this one I really don't like. I am struggling with it. I will be doing a Chicago full album ranking. It'll be just interesting where this one sits. I've got a rough idea. But with this one, I don't think this will be appearing in my top 20 albums of 2022 at the end of the year. At the moment, it just lacks something. It's quite boring. It's the sort of album that you'll probably hear in supermarkets, or you put it on when you've got dinner guests round, because it's nice background music, but as an album to listen to, it's quite hard, and I got bored with it, and I never get bored with albums. Alanis Morissette I did, and this one this year. So I'm only going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. I know there might be people out there that really love this album, and that's great, but for me personally, I just not keen on it. I love the harmonies, and that's about it, because that's one thing you do get with Chicago is really nice harmonies. Okay then, it's a shame because I was so looking forward to this album. That's all for this week, folks. We'll be back next week. First show's on Monday. We've got a bit of a prog day. First, we've got Transatlantic, the progressive supergroup, and then classic album is one of the grungy bands that I do like, and that's Alice in Chains, and we will be doing the album Dirt. Also next week, look out for another special with myself and Richard McCook. We are going to be picking our top 10 Led Zeppelin songs. I don't know which day we're going to be doing it, but it will be up on the channel next week sometime. So have a good weekend, everyone. If you're in the UK, keep safe. Don't go panicking like the weatherman tells you. Just drink plenty, look after your pets, and just enjoy the summer. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye for now.